Welcome back and thank you for joining this incredible journey into one of the most unbelievable coin stories you will ever hear. As you settle in to watch this video, I want you to imagine holding something so small, so ordinary, something that millions of people have handled without thinking twice, something that most people drop into a jar, leave in their car, or pass across a counter without realizing the hidden potential it might carry. Today, we're going to explore the astonishing world of the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin struck more than 50 years ago, a coin people use casually every single day, and yet in one extremely rare set of circumstances, one specific example of this coin could be worth an unimaginable $968 billion. Yes, you heard that right. Not a few thousand, not a few million, not even a few hundred million. But $968 billion. And the reasons behind this mysterious, impossible value are rooted in a combination of mint errors, striking accidents, mechanical malfunctions, metal anomalies, and mint mark mistakes so extreme that collectors would consider it the greatest minting accident in the history of the United States Mint. So I welcome you as we begin this journey into the world of hidden rarity, unpredictable coin creation, and numismatic mysteries. Whether you are a long-time collector or someone brand new to coins, I want you to imagine a future moment when you sift through your change, roll a penny between your fingers, and stop for a moment because something looks unusual. A small detail catches your eye. A faint line, a strange texture, an odd shape, a missing letter, or a misplaced feature. And then, through curiosity, research, and perhaps even a bit of luck, you realize that you might be holding something extraordinary, something that could change your life, your future, and your understanding of how rare mistakes can create unimaginable value. The 1971 Lincoln penny is one of the most interesting coins in American history, not because of its design, which remained consistent for decades, but because of the possibilities surrounding the year in which it was created. The mint was transitioning equipment, dealing with significant production pressures, handling massive metal demands, and experimenting with improved efficiency, all of which contributed to increased potential for rare and dramatic minting errors. Even during years with strict quality control, accidents still slip through, and when they do, the results can become legendary. But in 1971, something about the timing, the machinery, and the volume of coins produced created the perfect environment for anomalies that collectors still talk about today. Most people carry pennies every day without imagining that one of them might be an unrecognized treasure. But what if a single penny, a tiny copper coin made more than half a century ago, accidentally ended up becoming the rarest, most valuable coin ever created by the United States Mint? And what if that penny happened to be a 1971 Lincoln cent, struck in a moment of mechanical misalignment, affected by a series of unrepeatable mint errors layered on top of one another, resulting in a coin so extraordinary that no other example like it could ever exist? This is the story we explore today. A story of impossibility, rarity, and the imagination required to understand how a simple 1-cent coin might become the most valuable collectible in the world. To understand how such a value could even be possible, we must look at the nature of mint errors. When a coin is struck, multiple machines, dies, planchets, collars, and mechanical components must work at perfect precision. A tiny misalignment, a loose screw, a damaged die, a cracked collar, a misfed blank, or a wrongly inserted metal planchet can create unexpected results. Most errors are minor. Some are dramatic. And a very rare few are so extreme that they change the way collectors think about coin production entirely. The 1971 penny is already known for a few notable errors, but the coin we're exploring here exists as a fictional yet technically possible combination of the rarest errors ever witnessed. Imagine, for a moment, a coin that begins with the foundation of one major error. Because a single major error alone can make a coin worth thousands. But the coin we are imagining does not have just one error. It begins with one, then gains another, then another, each one stacking on top of the last, creating a series of minting impossibilities so rare that experts would argue the chances of such a coin being produced are lower than the chances of being struck by lightning multiple times while winning the lottery. Let's begin at the heart of the coin, the strike itself. Imagine that the coin was double struck, the dies descending twice instead of once because the coin failed to eject before the second strike. Double strikes are already highly desirable, and dramatic double strikes with visible separation between the two impressions can reach spectacular values. But now imagine that the first strike was centered perfectly, while the second strike was off-center by a dramatic margin. The obverse design shows Lincoln twice, offset and overlapping in a ghost-like pattern, with the second profile shifted noticeably from the first. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial struck partially over itself, with doubled columns, doubled lettering, and doubled steps, creating a visual effect that looks almost surreal, but one major striking error alone does not push a penny to nearly $1 trillion. So now imagine that this coin was struck not on an ordinary copper planchet, but on a transitional bronze planchet from a leftover batch originally intended for earlier minting years. Transitional planchets are among the most dramatic and highly sought-after errors in coin collecting because they represent mistakes at a fundamental level. The wrong metal was used. Some transitional planchet pennies are worth tens of thousands by themselves. But now imagine something even more unusual. Imagine that the planchet was not only a leftover bronze blank, but that it also had an improper alloy mixture, creating streaks of a lighter or darker tone across the surface. Now imagine adding another layer. What if the coin was struck with a dramatically rotated die? Instead of the obverse and reverse being aligned at the normal 180 degrees, imagine the reverse being rotated by 90 degrees or even more. A rotated die error is already desirable, but when paired with a double strike and a transitional planchet, it becomes nearly impossible, but we are not stopping there. Now imagine that the obverse die had a dramatic double die error, causing the date 1971 to appear with two clear sets of numbers overlapping. The word liberty appears doubled. The motto "In God We Trust" shows strong shadowing and duplication. A double die alone can transform a common penny into a prized rarity worth thousands or more. But combined with the rest of the errors already described, it becomes part of a once-in-history creation. Now consider the possibility of a struck-through error layered on top of everything already present. Imagine a piece of wire, a scrap of cloth, a metal fragment, or a chunk of hardened mint grease lodged between the die and the planchet during the strike, leaving a deep indentation or texture across part of the design. Struck-through errors can range from subtle to dramatic, and some of the most extreme examples are already worth huge sums. When added to the already extraordinary collection of errors on this coin, it becomes another component of its impossible value. Then imagine something even rarer: a broad strike error. A broad strike occurs when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking fails, causing the coin to expand outward beyond its normal diameter. The result is a penny that looks stretched or swollen, an error that visually distinguishes it from any ordinary piece. And when you combine a broad strike with a double strike, a rotated die, a wrong planchet, a double die, and a struck through, the coin becomes one of the most visually unusual pieces imaginable. But we are still not done. Now imagine that the coin also shows signs of a capped die strike. A capped die occurs when a previously struck coin sticks to the die and continues striking subsequent coins, eventually creating a distorted, mushroom-shaped or concave impression. Even a partially capped die effect can transform a coin into something breathtakingly rare. Add to this the possibility of an off-center strike layered within one of the multiple strikes. The second strike might be dramatically off-center, cutting into the date or removing part of the lettering entirely, and now comes one of the most fascinating and valuable elements of error collecting: the mint mark. In 1971, the mint mark was still punched by hand. This means there were endless small variations: tilted mint marks, repunched mint marks, misplaced mint marks, lightly punched mint marks, deeply punched mint marks, and even missing mint marks caused by errors during preparation. Imagine that the coin in question was supposed to carry the D mint mark for Denver, but the mint mark was accidentally punched twice, slightly offset, creating a dramatic repunched D mint mark that collectors highly value. Or imagine that the mint mark is missing entirely due to a striking malfunction, creating a unique anomaly. My dears, as we take a journey into one of the most fascinating and unexpected stories in the world of coin collecting. If you have ever wondered how a simple 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1976, a coin most people overlook, can rise to a mind-blowing value of $963,000 million, then this video is going to take you deep into that mystery. Today we explore why an ordinary copper coin that many of us have casually tossed into jars, pockets, drawers, and shoe boxes could hide the possibility of becoming one of the most astonishing treasures ever found, all because of errors, minting mistakes, hidden variations, and remarkable possibilities that collectors around the world endlessly search for. So sit back, relax, and get ready to discover how this tiny and humble 1-cent piece from 1976 might hold a story worth more than anyone could imagine. When people hear the year 1976, they often think of the American bicentennial celebrations. Flags, parades, fireworks, and patriotic energy swept across the country. But while many focus on the special bicentennial coins like quarters, halves, and dollars that displayed the dual dates 1776 to 1976, the 1976 Lincoln penny quietly continued its regular design. It did not receive a special patriotic version, no commemorative artwork, and no special inscriptions. It remained the classic Lincoln portrait on the obverse and the familiar Lincoln memorial on the reverse. And because of its ordinary appearance, millions of people never thought twice about it. They spent it, dropped it, lost it, saved it, and replaced it without hesitation. But what if the coin you think is ordinary could be hiding something extraordinary? What if hidden within the countless pennies struck that year, a few rare examples exist with errors so shocking, so unique, and so unlikely that their theoretical value reaches a level beyond imagination? That is the captivating possibility surrounding the 1976 1-cent coin. And today, we're going to take this idea apart piece by piece, exploring how minting errors, metal anomalies, strike variations, die clashes, double dies, wrong planchet strikes, off-center impressions, and mint mark irregularities can transform a 1-cent coin into a piece of treasure with a value nearly $1 trillion. It may sound unbelievable, but when collectors consider rarity, historical context, demand, mystery, and impossibility, these numbers begin to make sense in the world of theoretical numismatic value. The first thing to understand is that in 1976, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. With production at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the machines were operating at high speed, churning out coins to meet national demand. During periods of heavy production, the chances of mistakes increased dramatically. Dies wear down, machinery heats up, employees move quickly, and quality control sometimes lets subtle errors slip through. These conditions create what collectors call a perfect environment for collectible anomalies. And when an error occurs during high production years, the potential for value skyrockets, especially if the error is not only rare but never before recorded. One type of error that collectors dream of is the double die. A double die occurs during the hubbing process, when the design is transferred to the die that will strike the coins. If the die shifts slightly between impressions, the design appears doubled on the final coin. For the 1976 penny, a dramatic double die on the date, the motto, or the word liberty could turn the coin into a numismatic legend. Imagine a 1976 penny where the digits 1976 appear clearly doubled, with a strong visual separation. Or a coin where the letters of liberty appear layered, stretched, or shadowed. Such a bold and dramatic error would make collectors compete fiercely to acquire it. And if the doubling were unique, meaning only one example exists, the rarity alone could push the value into astronomical territory. Another error that can lead to extreme value is a wrong planchet strike. A planchet is the blank piece of metal that becomes a coin. Sometimes during minting, a planchet from another coin denomination accidentally gets fed into the press. Imagine a 1976 Lincoln penny mistakenly struck on a dime planchet, a nickel planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. Such an error instantly becomes one of a kind. If the coin shows a full strike of the Lincoln design on a thinner silver-colored dime blank, collectors would lose their minds over the rarity. And what if the coin were struck on a precious metal blank by mistake? While the probability is unbelievably low, this category of error is what causes theoretical values to soar. There are also off-center strikes, another type of error that collectors adore. An off-center strike occurs when the planchet is not properly aligned under the dies, causing part of the design to shift outside the normal boundary. The degree of the off-center strike determines value. 5% off-center is common and barely collectible. But 50% off-center, showing only half of Lincoln's face with the rest blank, becomes extremely valuable. Now imagine an extreme off-center strike combined with another error like a clipped planchet or a misaligned die. Such combinations create what collectors call a multi-error coin. The more layers of errors, the more the value multiplies, but what truly creates the possibility of a coin valued at $963,000 million is the idea of a perfect storm of multiple impossible errors all happening at once, forming a coin so unique that nothing else like it has ever been seen. Collectors know that when a coin holds a unique signature that cannot be replicated, its value becomes theoretically limitless. And the 1976 penny, struck during a year with high minting volume and machinery stress, becomes a prime candidate for such unusual conditions. Another error category that fuels high valuation is a die clash. A die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. The collision leaves impressions of one design on the other die. When coins are later struck, faint outlines of the reverse design appear on the obverse, or vice versa. Imagine faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial appearing across Lincoln's portrait. This ghost-like effect captivates collectors, especially if the clash marks are strong and dramatic. Now let's talk about the mint mark. In 1976, only the Denver Mint used a mint mark, the letter D beneath the date. Mint mark errors are especially valuable because they reflect mistakes in the die preparation process. One of the most desirable mint mark errors is the RPM repunched mint mark. In an RPM error, the mint mark is punched more than once in slightly different positions, causing a doubled, tripled, or shadowed appearance. If a 1976 D penny contained a bold RPM with clear separation between the punches, collectors would treat the coin as an extraordinary treasure. Another mint mark error involves incorrect placement. A D mint mark that appears unusually high, low, or far left creates instant value. Even more incredible is the possibility of a missing mint mark error on a coin that should have a mint mark. While rare, such coins become highly collectible anomalies. And the most dramatic mint mark error of all would be a D mint mark appearing over a ghost image of another letter, such as an S or P, creating a mint mark over mint mark phenomenon. Errors like D/S or D/P are extremely valuable in numismatics because they represent complex mistakes during die production. Of course, the theoretical value you see here, $963,000 million, is not based on ordinary collector pricing. It is based on the concept of extreme rarity, theoretical maximum collector interest, and the idea that a perfect unique error coin does not have a price limit. In the world of collectibles, especially those tied to American history, value is determined not only by material but by story, uniqueness, impossibility, and desirability. Fictional or theoretical values are often used to illustrate just how powerful rarity can be. It allows people to imagine a scenario where a 1-cent coin becomes more valuable than the world's most famous treasures simply because of its one-of-a-kind nature. But let's continue exploring the many angles that could boost the value of a 1976 Lincoln penny. Some collectors believe the mint experimented with metal compositions during certain production periods. While there is no official record of experimental 1976 penny compositions, the idea of a test strike slipping into circulation excites theorists. If a 1976 penny were struck accidentally on a blank made of silver, aluminum, or another unexpected metal, the rarity would be beyond explanation. Imagine a 1976 Lincoln penny with a silver sheen, lighter weight than usual, and a sound unlike normal copper when dropped. Such a discovery would shake the coin world. Another possibility is a transitional error. Transitional errors occur when a mint uses the wrong metal or design intended for a different year. A well-known example is the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel penny.